The air in my house felt heavy that night, like a storm was brewing behind closed doors. My son-in-law, Ethan, thought I was just a doddering old man blind to his schemes. He'd been creeping into my study when he thought I was out cold, poking through my desk for something worth taking. But that night, when he slid open the drawer expecting to find the key to my safe, his smug grin vanished, replaced by a look of pure dread. What he uncovered changed everything, and me? I just watched from the shadows, a quiet smirk curling my lips. The clink of silverware paused mid-air as Ethan's voice sliced through our cozy dinner chatter. "So, Walter, that safe in your study, what's the deal with it?" My daughter Clara nearly spilled her wine, her eyes darting to him. "Ethan, why would you even ask that?" His gaze, sharp and unyielding, stayed locked on mine, a hunter sizing up his prey. My chest tightened, but I set my fork down deliberately, stalling. "Just curious about your setup," Ethan said, his smile too polished. "Too practiced. With all the shady stuff going on in town lately, you know." "What shady stuff?" I asked, my tone even. I'd lived in Willow Creek for 2 decades. The biggest scandal was old Mr. Carver's dog digging up a neighbor's garden. Ethan waved it off, casual as ever. "Oh, you wouldn't hear about it. They keep it hushed to avoid scaring folks." He leaned closer, elbows on my oak table. "But a guy your age alone in a place this big? You've got to have some serious protections, right?" Clara squirmed in her seat. "Dad's always been cautious. Locks everything tight." "Sure, but what about backups?" Ethan pressed, his voice edging sharper. "If something happened to you, knock on wood, Clara would need to know where the important stuff is, wouldn't she?" The dining room felt like it shrank, the walls closing in. I studied Ethan's face, the slight flare of his nostrils, the way his fingers tapped a restless rhythm on the table. "Everything's in order," I said coolly. "Clara knows what she needs to." "But what about the key?" Ethan's words hung like a challenge. Clara frowned. "What key?" "The one in your dad's desk drawer," Ethan said, his smile widening like a fox spotting a hen. My voice cut sharper than I meant. "How do you know about anything in my desk?" For a split second, his mask slipped, something cold and cunning flashed in his eyes before he smoothed it over. "I was looking for some Tylenol last week," he said, slick as oil. "Clara said to check your study cabinet, but I opened the wrong drawer, my bad." Clara nodded quickly. "Yeah, he had that awful headache, remember?" But I remembered that day. Ethan had been upstairs for nearly an hour, claiming a stomach bug after supper, plenty of time to snoop. "The Tylenol's in the bathroom," I said, my voice low. "Always has been." Ethan's jaw twitched, barely noticeable. Must have been out of it from the pain. The conversation stumbled after that, but Ethan kept circling back, probing about my bank, my spare keys, my daily habits. Each question felt like a jab, testing for weak spots. When dinner ended, Clara offered to clean up. "You cooked, Dad, I've got this." "I don't mind," I said, gathering plates. The ritual of washing dishes helped me think, and tonight I needed clarity. "Let's head up, babe," Ethan said to Clara, his hand on her arm. "Your dad's got the kitchen handled." They vanished upstairs, the guest room door clicking shut. As I scrubbed plates, Ethan's questions replayed in my mind, his knowledge of a key he shouldn't know about, his casual mention of my death and Clara's inheritance. My hands moved on autopilot, wash, rinse, dry, while I pieced together the red flags I'd ignored. Ethan's vague job loss story, his obsession with my finances, the way he studied my house like a blueprint. The kitchen gleamed when I finished, but the house felt wrong now, like a sanctuary breached. Upstairs, the faint hum of voices leaked through the walls, then silence. It was time to see what else was lurking in my own home. Climbing the stairs, I noticed my study door ajar, a sliver of shadow spilling out. I froze, gripping the banister. That door was always shut. 40 years of solitary living had made it habit. Clara and Ethan were in the guest room down the hall. No one should be in my study. I stood still, ears straining. The house was quiet except for its usual creaks and my own pulse hammering. I nudged the door open, bracing for a squeak. It didn't come. The room looked untouched at first. Desk tidy, books aligned, lamp in place. But my eyes, sharpened by years of precision, caught the tells. The desk chair was an inch off its mark. The top drawer wasn't fully closed, a faint lip of wood betraying it. My stomach knotted. I opened the drawer. My files were shuffled, tax documents mixed with old letters. My will nudged out of place. The small iron key I kept taped beneath the drawer's edge was gone. I checked twice, fingers brushing the bare wood. That key opened my safe, the one Ethan had so casually asked about. My hands shook, not with fear but fury. This wasn't a random rummage. Someone had known exactly what to look for. I checked the safe in my closet, a heavy steel box bolted to the floor. The digital lock was intact, but that key was the manual override. Ethan had it now. Standing there surrounded by my life's keepsakes, I felt violated. How long had he been sneaking in here, cataloguing my belongings while Clara and I chatted downstairs? But Ethan had miscalculated. He thought I was a clueless old man, too trusting to notice. He was dead wrong. I shut the drawer, leaving it as I found it. Let him think he was invisible. Let him move forward with his plan. Because now I knew what I was dealing with, a thief in my daughter's bed. I went through my bedtime routine, every move deliberate, as if Ethan might be listening. Was he waiting for me to sleep? As I slid under the covers, one thing was clear. Tomorrow, I'd start building my case. Tonight I'd lie awake and strategize. Sleep didn't come. At 12:03 a.m., my bedside clock glowing, I heard soft steps downstairs. Not Clara's light tread, something heavier. Calculated, Ethan. I stayed still, breathing steady. As the footsteps crossed the living room. Then faintly his voice, "It's me. They're out cold." A phone call. In the dead of night. I eased upright, careful not to creak the bed, and crept to the floor vent that sometimes carried sound from below. "The old guy's loaded." Ethan's voice drifted up. "Bank records, investments, the works. We're talking big money." My blood chilled. He had a partner. "Tomorrow night," he continued. "Claire has got her knitting group 6 to 8, perfect window." I grabbed my phone, hands trembling, and opened the recorder. "Got the key already," Ethan said. "Snagged it during dinner. He keeps everything valuable in that safe. Cash, bonds, maybe jewelry." His voice turned urgent. "I know it's tight, but those bookies aren't waiting. This has to happen now. Bookies, gambling debts." The pieces snapped together. His desperation, his lies to Clara. Walter's just some old codger. "Happy to have us around," Ethan sneered. "He's got no clue what's coming. Claire'll think he's just forgetful if anything's missing." Rage burned in my chest, but I stayed silent, recording every word. "By Wednesday we're gone," Ethan said. "I'll tell Clara I got a job out of state. She'll buy it." The call ended, and I heard him check the locks before creeping upstairs. I stopped the recording, slipping the phone under my pillow. Through the door's crack I saw his shadow pass. The guest room door clicked shut. Ethan wasn't just a thief. He was using Clara as a pawn, exploiting her trust to rob me blind. But he'd underestimated me. I wasn't some frail widower. I'd spent 25 years as a fraud investigator, sniffing out liars like him. He thought he was clever. I'd show him clever. 3 weeks earlier, Clara's call had jolted my quiet morning. "Dad," she'd said, voice shaky, "Ethan's job fell through. We're behind on bills. Can we stay with you for a bit?" "Of course," I'd said, heart aching for her. But Ethan's story had holes from the start. Sudden layoffs, vague job prospects. I should have dug deeper. When they arrived, Clara's gratitude was raw, her hugs tight. Ethan, though, was distant, his eyes scanning my house like a realtor. "Nice setup, Walter," he'd said. "Bet it's worth a fortune." I'd brushed it off then. Now I saw the calculation. He'd asked endless questions about my alarm system, my neighbors' schedules, my banking habits. I'd thought he was just settling in. Now I knew better. The late-night calls, the collection notices piling up in my mailbox, gambling debts, not job loss, were drowning him. And Clara, my trusting girl, had no idea. Morning came and I played my part. Coffee brewing, eggs sizzling, the picture of routine. Clara shuffled in, smiling sleepily. "Morning, Dad, you're up early." "Always am," I said, setting out plates. Ethan joined us, looking smug, like a man with a winning hand. "Big plans today, Walter?" he asked, sipping coffee. "Errands," I said vaguely. "Maybe the bank." His eyes flicked up, a micro-expression of greed. "Everything okay financially?" Clara laughed. "Dad's old school. Loves his in-person banking. Just cautious, I said, watching Ethan. You can't be too careful. Smart, Ethan said, too eager. Especially with valuables around. That's safe. Where do you keep the key? The nerve. I sipped my coffee, slow and deliberate. Somewhere safe. He pivoted. You sleep heavy, right? Clara mentioned you're out like a light. I hadn't said that, but I nodded. Lately, yeah. Been taking something to help. Knocks me out cold. His shoulders relaxed. Perfect. Let him think I'd be helpless tonight. After breakfast, I announced I was heading out. Need anything? We're good, Ethan said, eyes on his phone. As I drove off, I caught him watching from my study window. Game on. At the hardware store, I grabbed supplies, a small party popper, the kind used for celebrations, and a bag of ultra-fine glitter, iridescent, impossible to clean. Back home with Clara and Ethan out, I rigged the popper in my desk drawer, swapping its confetti for glitter. I calibrated it to trigger when someone reached deep, where the key used to be. A decoy key, an old cabinet key, went near the front, bait for a greedy hand. Next, I stopped at an electronics shop for a tiny wireless camera with night vision. I hid it in a stack of journals on my bookshelf, angled to catch the desk in the room's center. The app showed a crisp feed, motion-activated to save battery. By 3 p.m., everything was set. The trap was invisible, the camera primed. Ethan would walk into a sparkling disaster. Dinner was quiet. Clara chatting about her knitting group. Ethan checking his phone obsessively. I played the weary old man, yawning dramatically. Think I'll hit the hay early, I said. Ethan jumped in. How about a drink first? Saw some fancy bourbon in your pantry. On meds, I said. Can't mix. Just a sip, he pushed, too insistent. A toast to family. Clara frowned. If Dad says no, Ethan, let it go. His smile strained. Right, no pressure. But I saw the panic. He needed me out cold. Actually, I said, standing, those pills are calling. I'll be dead to the world soon. Relief flashed across his face. Rest well, Walter. In my study, I checked the camera and trap, then lay on my bed, fully dressed, watching the hallway through the door's sliver. At 1:17 a.m., I heard footsteps. Careful, practiced,